Hey everybody, how we doing today? It's Ryan, the game show guy. Thanks for checking out our newest game. It's a super simple game. One of the first games we all learned how to play when you started learning how to play games. I did a couple twists on this and realized and thought about how you could play this in the classroom. It's an all-timer. It's basic, but hey, it's still got legs, folks. Hey, we're learning how to play ourselves a little Tic Tac Toe. Hey, so what is Tic Tac Toe? Don't need to tell. You don't need to teach anybody. Basically, is we're going to play not necessarily one of these games. We're going to play quite a few of these games. And the way that I've designed the game is that you're going to basically answer questions. If you answer the question correctly, you get to be able to put your letter for an X or an O. Basically, that's it, kind of a thing. So, class is going to be divided up, and I'm going to talk about the ways you can do that. But let's say if you do divide the class into two teams. So you got Team X, Team O. And again, they answer a question correctly. Hey, they're going to get some points, and they're going to jump in and try to be able to see if they can win the puzzle. All right, so let me basically show you kind of how this works as the game starts in our PowerPoint mode. Like you see with all my games, you got game subject or classroom edition on the bottom. So you're going to put whatever your unit of study is down there. You introduce that and say, okay, everybody, hey, here is our how to be able to play. Basically, you answer a question correctly, you're going to get 5 points. If you guess correctly, then along with those 5 points, you're going to put an X or an O on the game board. And the first team to get a tic-tac-toe is going to get 25 points. But we got a little twist on the game, folks. I got a little thing called the secret square. What's the secret square? Well, I'm going to get to that and show you. I'm going to hop back out of there and show you kind of how the game is designed here. Going to slide number 3 is where all the magic kind of happens here. So what I got my little fingers pointing on a lot of different stuff here for you to take note of. First off, just the logo in the upper right hand corner. We're playing tic-tac-toe. Then we have these questions. These questions are all linked. These are separate cards if I move them around. Okay. You can see that. I'm going to undo that because basically there's 25 cards there. Those 25 cards, once you click on one, it's going to hyperlink you to that particular question. The first one's going to go to question number 1. And you have an opportunity to be able to give the question. Both the students have an opportunity to be able to answer it. This will be animated, so you wait to be able to click on the button, the answer button. When you click on the answer button, it's going to reveal that. Let me show you how this looks here. And then the last button will take you back home. All right, so here's what the board looks like. Hey, let's see question number 1. Here's question number 1 card. Automatically will link you to question number 1. Wherever I click, it's been disabled. You can't move forward or see the answer. The way that I play the game is the good old-fashioned whiteboards. Love having the whiteboards and the pens. Have the have the students have a pen and a whiteboard, and I like doing the hey everybody, write down your answers, and then you hold them close, and then the count of 3, show your boards. 1, 2, 3. You show their boards, and then if they get them correctly, then you click the answer button. Hey, show me your boards. Who's the first president of the United States? George Washington. You got George Washington. You got George Washington. Click for the answer. George Washington comes on up there. You can't go anywhere again because in the bottom right corner, the main board. Now, quickly, if you noticed it up in the corner there, the question card was going to disappear. So that means now the next link will be to question number 2. But we're not playing questions right now. You both got 5 points. The way in which that I do the points, by the way, is I love having a kid. Let me hop out of here and show you what it kind of looks like here. Having the student, wrong one. Let me jump back over here. Having the kids on a separate white board up in the class, have them do their tallies. You got Team X and Team O, and every single time they get a question, there's 5 points, and they got 5 points. Then they got another 5, and they didn't get one there. Then they got a 5 again, and they got a 5. You can do it that way you can keep adding them, or you can have your scorekeeper. She could be, do their running total, kind of a thing like that. It's 15 to 10, stuff like that. I'm really a fan of having different locations. I know there's a lot of games out there that you can pick from, and a lot of teachers like to be able to have places within the game where you can keep the score. I don't like that for a couple different reasons. If you're doing it in PowerPoint, you have to run macros, and it gets super complicated. Also, it takes up real estate, and I like just having we all got whiteboards or chalkboards or something like that up on the side of the room so we can be able to be paying attention on both. I don't want to necessarily have everything just within there. So my score is, I never usually have the score in my games actually on the board. Okay, so you go to the question. The question takes you there, and these are simple, how to be able to change it. If I wanted to go in here and say, like I said before, who was the first president of the U.S., and then down here, you would put George Washington. And of course, you could add images and do virtually any kind of question. If you don't want to write there kind of questions, you could do an ABC kind of questions. A, was it George Washington? B, was it Thomas Jefferson? Or you can have true false questions, whatever you want to be able to have. This is animated to be able to reveal that kind of a thing. All right, then you jump back to the board. Now let's pretend we're in here. Let me show you how the Tic Tac Toes work. So I'm going to be able, you could, I like to play them in order. I have game 1 through 8. These are the actual Tic Tac Toe boards that we're going to be playing. Each of them are color coded, so you can kind of remember kind of the one that you're on, but I think it's easier if you just say, hey, we're going to go number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Or if you want, I guess you could let the kids pick, but you're going to want to be able to remember what you're at, because you're going to go question. Basically, you're always going to do a question, tic-tac-toe, question, tic-tac-toe. So we did question number 1. Both students got the George Washington question correctly. Now I'm going to go to game number 1. I click on here. Now it's going to hyperlink me to my a tic-tac-toe board. And the way that I've created this here is that there's little X's and O's, and those are basically just the action settings that I've created within PowerPoint to be able to make them appear. So let's say I'll go to the team X first, and I'll say, hey, you guys get to go first. And so they'll say, oh, I want to go upper left. So by clicking on that little button, we'll now animate and bring that up. And you're like, then the O team gets to go, like, I want to go in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to click the middle O right here, and that's where we go. Nothing else on the board. It's all been disabled. The X's and O's will all work right there. There's a question mark in the bottom left-hand corner. Don't touch that thing. I want to show you what that looks like later. But as soon as we got our X and our O, we need to go back and ask another question. So in the bottom right corner, there is main board. Clicking on the main board takes me back. And now I got my next 2 kids with their questions, and they're going to take their whiteboards. And here's our next question. Next question comes. Sorry, since I got out of the game, it already got rid of one. Something to remember, that every time if you do get out of slideshow mode, it's going to reset itself. So always stay within the slideshow mode. So there's question number 1. There it goes. Now here comes question number 2, everybody. Question number 2 shows up, and it'll show you in the right-hand corner. You don't really need to take notice of the numbers over there. The only reason is for you to take note of how many questions that you have. I have built 25 questions in here. Feel free that you can have more. You don't even need them here. I always love having that extra set. I even have a printout in my drawer when I need my extra questions, because you never know when you need a tiebreaker. That's just general trivia kind of a thing, quickly. Like, hey, which state has the most? Which U.S. state has the most coastline? Florida, California, and Alaska. Correct. The correct answer was Alaska, right? So you have some of those things that can be just general at a moment's notice kind of thing. All right. There's question 2. Back to the main board. Now, notice if we're playing. So we played our second one. My scorekeeper has done the scores. Now I'm going to go back to game number 1. And look at that. My X and O is still there. All right. So now team X, where do you guys want to go? I'm going to go top right. All right. And where are you going to go? O's. I want to block it in top middle. And that's the essence of the game, except I want to show you something. I'm going to go back to my main board. Question number 3 shows up. Answer, main board. Now when I go to, we would go play their X's and O's, watch when I go to question number 4. You don't even need to know what it is, but I have every so often, I got some random things in here, some special things like this one. What was that? This is called takeaway. What's takeaway? In the bottom, it says teams who answer correctly on this one don't get to put a letter on there. They're only going to take one of their opponents off. Interesting. Are you ready for the question, teams? Click for the question, and it just takes you to another question. I like to make these a little bit more challenging on these ones because they get extra power to be able to pull them away. All right, let's go to the main board. Now let's see where we're at. X, you got, you won. Where do you want to be able to remove? I want to get rid of the top middle one. So now these buttons are also hyperlinked, or action setting basically, is that if you click the letter again, it will go away. So if O has this top middle one, if I click O again, it goes away. They don't get to add one because this was simply just a takeaway kind of a special question on that one. All right. And then, they get to be able to take one. Anyway, so you get to be able to play. And then sooner or later, let's say if you keep going question after question, you get to the, hey, you got yourself a winner. Make a little sound effect if you want or whatever. And then they get 25 points. So every question your scorekeeper is doing 5-5-5. Soon as they get a tic-tac-toe, 25 points goes to Team X. Once it's done, I got the special thing in the bottom left-hand corner. The bottom left-hand corner, your left's down over there. The bottom left-hand corner is my secret square. Secret square is just a fun little animated. Let's say if we had a total, this was our total. We had something like that, and that's how the game finished up. So oftentimes you don't have all of them. All right, you ready for the secret square? Wherever the secret square lands, that team is going to get an additional 10 points. And I've animated this so it goes to, hey, Team X, they get an extra 10. These are all random. If I hop out of here, let me show you my what this looks like here. I have all of these boards. There was 8 of these tic-tac-toe games. So here's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And like I mentioned, they have different colors. The colors doesn't really matter for you. I have a secret square, and the secret square is going to go to a different spot all the times. And it's a kind of a fun way to be able to add a little to that. You don't like the secret square? Click over here, delete it, get rid of it, get rid of the secret square icon or whatever. If you just want to play straight tic-tac-toe and you don't want to necessarily have that. But if you do, they're there. They're always in the same spots. You play the game enough, the kids generally, they won't remember where they go because there's enough of them. And also you can always learn how to be able to do motion paths and in the hyperlink and under animation pane. It's really kind of a fun way, and you can create your own. But anyway, I digress. Let's take a peek over here and see kind of how the game's ultimately played. If you look here, if I show you all of my slides, I have a couple extra ones here. The takeaway is one. The takeaway, and these are roughly like every 4 questions something happens. The takeaway is you'd be able to pull one away. I have another one called a bonus. There's only 2 of these. This is both. You get a take away and add one. Oh, that's a zinger kind of a thing. Now, the interesting part is you never know when these are going to happen because you don't know how long a tic-tac-toe game is going to take, and you don't know you never know. It could be at the beginning, it could be at the end or whatever, something like that. So it'll just play itself. If they don't have any, they can't take any away, that kind of a thing. But it's kind of a fun thing. You can be creative with it. A couple things that you need to come up with on your own. What happens if there's a tie? If it's a cat's game, okay, fine. We just move on. Nobody gets those points, and we still do the secret square. That's why the secret square is kind of a nice piece. The other thing is who gets to go first. You could have a separate question that you have. Does Team X go first or Team O? Or you can just go back and forth. It'll start with Team X, then game 2 is O. You could go odd, even. Anyway, come up with a way. You can have a dice roll off. You can have a whatever. But going first does definitely matter. But don't always make it the same one. Have some sort of thing within there. When you go, let me show you back here, by the way, to help you. After I played game 1, I got out of the game. That's why they all went away. But let's say, you have your game. And then once you get the, hey, and your secret square and all that kind of stuff. Now, when I go back to the main board, I don't need game 1 anymore. So the little red button on the bottom down here, you can see that red button. If I click on that, watch what happens. It's going to make game 1 go away. So for me to remember where we're at, hey, we've played game 2, we finished game 3, game 4. So kind of just where we're at to help clean that up. If you don't want to do this at all, you don't need the tic-tac-toe board. You have your classroom, like you can see behind me. I have my good old-fashioned whiteboard where I can play that, which takes me to this. This is some of my games are you got to play them in PowerPoint because the functionality. Other games don't need to. This one you don't need to, but there are some differences for sure. So here's my Google Slides version of tic-tac-toe. Here's the opening slide. Here's slide 2 with the same points. Hey, 5 points for a question, 25 for winning the game, and 10 for the secret square. There's no clicky and have the X's and O's show up. So that's what this is. Your thing is having a student at the board and they're just drawing X's and O's, which is fun too. Like, I don't know about the whole super high techie. Having it just a thing right there is fine. The big change, by the way, is the secret square. How can I do a secret square if it's just some kid writing it on a chalkboard or a whiteboard over there? Well, folks, here's your answer right here. Look at little Bitmoji, me down there or wherever. I have put I have 8 of these. These are the same ones as that I had in the PowerPoint game. I just included them here on the slide because all I'm going to have you do, folks, is Print them out. Not the entire game, just print out those slides. And I like to be able to, oops, sorry. Try to do this with one hand. Get yourself some envelopes, okay? Print them out, fold them up, put them in an envelope, and write secret square number 1. And once the game's finished, you're like, all right, secret squares number 1 is done. And we're playing over here, and you're like, okay, and Team X, you guys win. Let's find out where the secret square is. Give it to the kids, and they can open it up, or you can pull it out and open, and then they can be able to see it's in the top right, and they can hold it up. So again, you don't need the digital component to be able to have all the exact same thing. The functionality is all the same. And the same, again, this is a very simple, basic, easy to do game, which is you ask questions and you play tic tac toe. That's it. Like I said, I have 25 questions and 8 of the game boards. Here in Google Slides, it's a little bit differently, in which that there is no master back to the board and they disappear. So as soon as, let me show you how this game works. Once I go from the game takes me to the instructions. It jumps over all of those secret slides. I've hid those so the kids don't see them. I go from how to play to a question, and then you click. It says next question. Wherever I click is going to animate the answer. I have a button that says next question. It doesn't do anything because you're just going to go to the next question. All this is answer, next question, answer, next question. That's it. And then I got my normal, I put them in the same spots, takeaways and the bonuses. And that's essence of what the game is. This is way easier if you don't want to do the digital piece on it. Just play this whiteboard, tic-tac-toe, put your questions here. The nice part here, if you are going to do the Google Slides, you can add way more than 25. In the other one, it's a little more complicated because I've layered all those question cards, but you don't necessarily need that either too. You can just ditch them and just, use the keyboard to go to the next slide. But anyway, if you ultimately need more. So these are one of these questions that you don't necessarily know how many you're ultimately going to need. And how many do you play? Like I said, you can play for a certain amount of time or play for a certain number of tic-tac-toe games. But just kind of have fun with this thing. Last thing I mentioned at the very beginning is how many teams can you get to play? This one's a bit of a sticky wicket, which is that it's tic-tac-toe. So there's Team X and Team O. So how do you play that? 2 teams. Well, if you got a smaller class size, some of us got smaller class sizes in the 20-somethings, and that's not bad. Then you get teams of like 10 to 12 or something like that. If you got larger classes, there's a lot of kids who aren't necessarily playing. So here's a workaround that. Try 4 teams. What? 4 teams? Let me go back to my PowerPoint here. If I got this, now I'm going to be playing 2 simultaneous tic-tac-toe games. Follow me here. I have 4 players come up, right? XO or X1, O1, X2, O2 kind of a thing. All 4 kids will be able to show their boards per the question. Who's the first president of the United States? Show me their boards. Do. Let's say they all got them right. Now only X1 and O1 are playing on the orange board, X and O. If I go back to my main board, but the others, X2 and O2, you guys are playing on the yellow board. So the X that one over there, I want to go over here and go over here. See that? So I could be playing the same questions, right? The same questions that I'm asking the kids, but we're just playing on different tic-tac-toe boards. Or same thing over there. I just draw a line and do 2 different tic-tac-toe. That way I have 4 playing. And then ultimately the winner is, you're still playing the general thing. Whoever has, I got my 4 different ones, X1, O1, X2, O2. Whoever has the most points at the end wins. See, it still works. And yeah, kind of fun. A little bit more hectic and whatever, and you just keep going back to them. By staying in the slideshow mode, we'll always remember your spots over here. That's a fun one. That's tic-tac-toe. That's simple. That's easy. Love to be able to hear feedback, folks. As always, follow me on Instagram. Check out the YouTube channel where you get more awesome videos like this that I'm putting out there. Would love to be able to hear back in the comments on YouTube or on the Instagram. And you can find all my resources on the Teachers Pay Teachers, folks. That's as always, more games coming to you. I'm Ryan, and this is the Game Show Guy.